Buhay na buhay pa din, Mr. Speaker, Mr. President, ang Old Boys Club sa gobyerno. This Old Boys Club phenomenon is alive and kicking. At its most benign, it can manifest itself in statements like, "Of course I will yield to the beautiful senator." Then it can progress to catcalling and rape jokes. Sa bagay, Mr. President, hindi lang ito sa Pilipinas. In America, their male presidential candidate just called the woman Miss Piggy. At its worst and ugliest, this Old Boys Club in the Philippines seeks to shame a woman senator into silence by threatening the release of a video purported to capture her in a sexual act. Now, the Justice Secretary says, quote, "We are not going to present anything about the sex video. We are not in possession of any video," close quote. Mr. President, we have yet to hear from the House of Representatives if they indeed will cease and desist from this threatened assault on a fellow legislator. The victory will be of the netizens, women writers, women representatives, and women senators who said enough. Whether you think the video is fake or not is of no moment. What you think of the drug-related allegations leveled against her is of no moment. Isang usapin lang po ang inilalatag ko sa inyong harapan ngayon, Mr. President. Will we allow the House of Representatives to show the sex video allegedly showing Senator Laila de Lima? In the first place, the release of the video would be illegal. It would be in violation of Republic Act 9995 or the Anti-Photo or Video Voyeurism Act of 2009, which requires the consent of the person or persons in the video before its release or distribution. The House Speakership and its Committee on Justice would be party to the commission of a crime under RA 9995. It would be, for all intents and purposes, a sex crime. Do we allow our colleagues in the House to be party to a sex crime? Do we allow a fellow senator to be the victim of a sex crime? But, Mr. President, the legality or illegality of it is not the core issue that I want to get to. It is the systemic and structural machismo that pervades our political culture. The double standards that are so ingrained in our life that they become invisible tools of oppression. Sa pag-iit ng opinyon, paglalaki, assertive and decisive. Sinasabi ng lipunan, take a bow. Pagbabae, hysterical and shrill. Sinasabi ng lipunan, take a break. Sa pag-abante ng career, paglalaki, go-getter. Pagbabae, bad mother. Kaya naman, pag ang lalaki may sex video, macho, matinik. Pag babae, malaswa, malandi. Mr. President, we could still be about to cross the Rubicon if we stand by in silence while our colleagues in the House perpetrate this indignity against a fellow senator. We would have chosen vulgarity over civility, misogyny over basic respect and decency. We would be telling our daughters that they can be shamed for their sexuality in ways that their brothers or future husbands or partners will never be. We would be telling our little girls that their sexual choices are fair game and that their bodies can be policed. Sinong susunod? Sinong susunod na gagawa ng peking sex video? Sinong susunod na hihiyain sa madla? Ako, si Senator Nancy, si Senator Grace, si Senator Cynthia, o si Senator Loren? O ang babaeng iniwan ang nambubugbog na partner at bilang ganti ay in-upload ang sex video nila? Kasi pwede na. Sabi ng Kongreso, pwede. Mr. President, Senator Laila has her political battles, and many of you might disagree with her positions. So be it. But on the singular issue of the sex video, The battle is bigger than Senator Laila. It is about respect and decency between institutions. It is about chipping away at the structural misogyny that pervades our culture. Most of all, it is about raising little girls who believe that they can define themselves with no fear of shame, and who believe that their bodies and their lives are theirs and theirs alone. This is not just about Senator Laila. This is about every woman. Salamat po, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator Hontiveros. With the permission of the body, a minute suspension. Last majority. May mag-interplate yata si Bak. Nagtaas lang. Ha? Ikaw din? Session is resumed. Majority Leader.
Mr. President, to interpolate the distinguished lady from Akbayan, we would like to recognize Senator Bam Aquino.
Senator Aquino is recognized.
Mr. President, magandang hapon. Will the lady from Akbayan yield to a few questions?
Gladly, Mr. President.
First of all, Mr. President, I'm quite pleased with the speech of Senator Hontiveros. A number of us had voiced our concern and our objection to the playing of that supposed sex video in Congress. Let me begin by asking about the hashtag. The hashtag is every woman. Maybe you can elucidate, Senator Hontiveros, bakit every woman po yung naging hashtag na ginagamit sa issue na ito?
Mr. President, yung hashtag na yon, yung naging isang battle cry o battle axe nung mga netizens na on a certain day last week, kumbaga napuno na ang salok nila. Sabi talaga nila, sobra na. Tama na, tigilin na ito. And they came up, at first it was women on the net, but men, like the good senator, joined in, adding hashtag everyman, and then various other netizens joined in with an additional hashtag everyhuman. So na ang mensahe po niyan, Mr. President, is also what I just expressed, that this issue of an alleged sex video is not only about a single senator or single legislator. It's at its very core a human issue, a human dignity, a human rights issue. It has to do with the dignity of every woman. Women who are trying to speak the truth of our own lives, women who, in various aspects of our lives, are seeking justice for the issues that are important to us. So, hindi ino-own ng isang individual lang yung ganitong advocacy against sexism and against misogyny. It is an eminently human struggle.
Hence, the usage of the word every.
Every.
So lahat po pwedeng mabiktima ng gantong karahasan. It is a form of violence.
It is really a form of violence, even under the Women in Nation Building Act and other national laws and international instruments that the Philippines has either passed in Congress or is party to in the Community of Nations, Mr. President.
And Mr. President, ito pong paggamit ng sex video or sexual information para mang-oppress ng iba o para mag-revenge, hindi naman ho ito unique sa sitwasyon natin. This is actually done in many societies, even in the Philippines, Mr. President.
Yes, Mr. President. Indeed, this kind of assault from the platform of sexism and misogyny is not unique to the Philippines, not unique to this particular situation, so much so that the Philippine Congress saw it fit to pass various laws to protect women or all persons from such psychological violence. I mentioned, for example, Republic Act 9995, the Anti-Photo or Video Voyeurism Act. There are also various provisions, articles under the revised penal code. There is, as I mentioned, the Magna Carta of Women. There are city ordinances in different parts of the country which would categorize such an act or such the threat of an act as psychological violence and a violation of the rights of women.
Mr. President, it's not unique to Philippine society, but it seems that this type of action or violence or oppression seems to be unique to women. Parang hindi po ako nakakita ng galit po sa lalaki na gagamitin ang gantong klaseng karahasan. Is that right, Madam Senator?
Unfortunately, Mr. President, as in all cases of violence against women that are classified under different Philippine laws, unfortunately, in all of these cases of violence, women are indeed the majority of the victims. We are the overwhelming majority of victims of these kinds of violations.
Why is that, Mr. President? Bakit po sa babae po nakafocus ang gantong klaseng karahasan?
Mr. President, sa babae po nakafocus ang ganitong klaseng karahasan precisely because of the sexist and misogynistic character still in year 2016 of Philippine society. We have a culture, despite many advances born out of the struggles of the women's movements, including some support from some fellow men at different stages of history, still overwhelmingly the privileging of the male sex, the privileging of male characteristics of human beings as demonstrated whether through reproductive functions or through differences in social and cultural behaviors. If there is that kind of built-in inequality in our society as expressed in our culture, and as this culture comes out in the different institutions of our society, even of our government, then it is no surprise, though it is a terrible surprise, that still there is a high incidence of violence against women, various forms of violence against women, and as the title would suggest, the majority of victims of these kinds of violence would be women.
Mr. President, Madam Senator, ito pong currently, today, if the headlines are correct, it seems Congress is not pushing through anymore with showing of that alleged sex video. A number of groups came out, individuals, cross-party, lumabas po to state their objection to this act. I'm sure a lot of the women's groups were elated or were quite happy that this happened.
Mr. President, as far as I know, we have heard from the Justice Secretary that now he says they are not in possession of such a video. Now he says they are not going to screen any such video. But as I mentioned in my speech, we have yet to hear from the House of Representatives whether they will in fact cease and desist from their earlier expressed intention to show such a video.
All right, and Senator Hontiveros, the lady senators have actually filed a resolution
Yes.
on this issue. Maybe you could elucidate further, Mr. President. We can ask Senator Hontiveros to tell us more about this resolution.
Thank you, Mr. President. The resolution, which was just read on the floor by the good majority leader, was signed by all the rest of the 5 of us women senators in our chamber. It notes that our sister Senator Laila de Lima is the subject of an ongoing investigation in the House, that there has been a push on the part of some representatives to show that alleged sex video. We noted in our resolution that showing such a video would be in violation of the Anti-Photo or Video Voyeurism Act, that further it would violate a long-standing and cherished tradition of extending interparliamentary courtesy across the line of the House of Representatives and the Senate. And most importantly, we said in our resolution that such an act would undermine our lifelong torturous struggle to uphold and uplift the dignity of women. And so we called upon our good chamber to express the sense of the Senate that we strongly oppose and condemn such an act contemplated by our fellow legislators in the House.